So, hello. My name is Kitt. I work here at Aj&Smart, and I am one of the creative minds that work here. Some people are laughing. I don't know why. Very important disclaimer, okay? I'm not the most creative, but I can turn lights off with my mind. Now, at Aj&Smart, we run design sprints. If you want to learn more about that, it's going to be here or possibly here. It won't be there or there, absolutely 100% it won't be there. Design sprints, the way we run them are a 4-day process. You come out of this 4-day process with feedback on a high fidelity prototype that was created in those 4 days. Now, to do this every week, like this week, for example, with 2 different sets of clients coming to collaborate with us on these sprints, we couldn't just wait for creativity to strike at some point in those 4 days. As some people say, it has to catch you working. We use the design sprint to create a process for creativity every single week, and it works. But obviously, sometimes when you're on your own, you can't do a design sprint every day by yourself. Oh, God. Maybe you are doing that, and that's why you watch our channel, just to feel connected. We'd love to hear from you if that is the case. We provide counselling on these subjects. Just let us know down there. Sometimes you need your own creative processes, and these books have them in them. So here we go. Creative boost time. Okay, so the first book I want to talk about is by an amazing chap called Austin Kleon, and it's called How to Steal Like an Artist. Now, this book really helped me. One of the main things that it helped me with, it has this checklist of like good theft and bad theft. There's nothing new under the sun. Everything ever has been made. All we can ever do is basically copy, combine, and transform things. You could read this book in, I'm not even kidding, like an hour and a half. I think I've read it about 5 times. But onto the actual checklist, he goes good versus bad theft. Under good theft, it's like you honor the thing you're stealing from. You study the thing you're stealing from and the people who've made it. You steal from many rather than stealing from one person. You credit the people you steal from whenever you can. You transform it and you remix it. And on the bad theft, it's basically all the opposites. Anyway, so this is the amazing thing, and I've just torn it out of the book as I'm saying this. So yeah, really recommend this book. As I said, you can read it so fast. Austin Kleon, Steal Like an Artist. Also, check out Austin Kleon's newsletter. He sends it out every Friday, and it is just like a wonderful like avalanche of just art mixed with cuteness. He's a lovely guy. Book number 2. Okay, now everyone, when they talk about Steven Pressfield, the author, he writes a lot of books about wars and things like that. He also writes incredibly helpful, very powerful, you could call them self-help books, but he writes books on essentially bringing all of your power and might to your creative process. People quite often, because it's got such a good title, refer to the war of art. But I'm actually going to talk about another one called Turning Pro. Turning Pro was a huge thing for me. One of the things that Steven Pressfield is really good at is finding a language for the problem you're having that's quite intangible. When we're working creatively, whether it's at a design agency or you're writing your first book or you're helping someone put on a show, whatever it is, we can sometimes have these feelings trying to hold us back, and it's as if the battle's completely inside. Also helps me understand what the deepest goal when you're trying to work is, and it's something that we struggle with massively in the modern day. It's deep focused work, and resistance, as Steven Pressfield called it, the thing trying to stop you from doing deep work, has so many tools at its disposal. One of them could be like just making you really interested in your phone when you're trying to write that thing. Or it could be worry that sparks up about something that isn't to be worried about, that just happens to start to distract you. Or you might even just start feeling tired and low energy when you're trying to finish a piece of work. Whatever it is, Steven Pressfield kind of gives it a name, turns it into this thing that you can actually fight, and gives you the tools and resources to do that. So I really recommend this, Turning Pro. It's all about turning pro, and it helped me very much. So, 3 of 4. Now this was a huge one. I believe the founder of Aj&Smart has bought this one the other day. It's called The Artist's Way. Did you buy this one, John? Yeah? I'd love to chat about it with you at some point. Just looking for excuses to speak to John. This is The Artist's Way. It's by Julia Cameron, and I'm going to hold it in front of my face. Now, this book was huge. Oh, it's got a CD in it. This book was huge for me. It actually took me 3 goes to get through it because I was getting too emotional. It works almost as a 12-step program to help you through artistic blocks. This helped me kind of understand. The most famous that people talk about that's very useful is the morning pages. People quite often talk about the morning pages, which is essentially writing 3 pages of just anything first thing in the morning. Basically, it kind of handholds you through the course of 12 weeks to the point where you're like, all of these things, you start to see them for what they are rather than this insurmountable thing. The Artist's Way, a huge thing. It's an extremely famous book. I highly, highly, highly recommend it. I have one more. I couldn't find it on my bookshelf this morning because it's tiny. I genuinely think that might have been the reason I couldn't find it. Now this book is by James Webb Young, and it's like 20 pages long. And I think the reason why I find it so fascinating now, working at Aj&Smart and coming here and learning more about the design sprint process, is essentially, it's called a technique for producing ideas. And it's mainly focused on artistic and writing-based things like this. There's 5 different stages to it. He uses examples such as how Andy Warhol was, he made some stuff. He was constantly in the research phase. And then when he needed to make something, he'd basically go into this room in his house and he'd basically just go into these shoeboxes of things that he'd researched and pulled together for different projects. And that would spur him into the next stage of the process. The final stage is essentially getting the feedback from the people you've shared the thing you've made with and letting that then affect the way you move on to make your next thing. I always thought this was really helpful, and it had this kind of finalness to it. It just makes me feel very warm inside. Those were the 4 books. There would be some honorable mentions, but this video is already about an hour long. There's some things that we'll do. The main thing from all these books is essentially they're just telling you to chill out, lower your standards on what you think you should be making the first time you make something, and just make anything and finish it. And then the next thing you make will be better. And then if you do that way, then 10 things down the line, you might start getting closer to the thing you really wished you could make the first time. It's just a case of lowering the standards and just doing and just getting better as you go.
Hey, so if you like that video, maybe you could give us a little subscribe and a thumbs up, perhaps. I don't know. Yeah, just subscribe maybe if you could. Oh, just one sec. Oh, hey, sorry about her. She's a bit aggressive. If you don't want to subscribe, you really don't have to subscribe. Just ignore it. It's a bit much, I know. Sorry.